Hello and welcome to another CF Power Scripts tutorial with me, Christian Rauchenwald. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can use CF Power Scripts to add the Facebook pixel to your funnels in ClickFunnels without actually dealing with any kind of custom code, and why doing so with CF Power Scripts is actually superior to just adding the Facebook pixel code directly to your funnels. And in order to get started, as always, I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and you can see that I'm on the CF Power Scripts dashboard. If you just joined CF Power Scripts, then I recommend that you watch the welcome video that explains how to set up the basics of CF Power Scripts so that in the end you can use all the Power Scripts with just a few mouse clicks. Once you've done that, or if you already did that in the past, just head to the Power Scripts section and there pick the funnel where you want to add the Facebook pixel to. And I'm going to select our demo funnel here for that purpose. Once there, you notice that I already have a few other Power Scripts in place, but those are not the purpose of this video. So in order to add the Facebook pixel to this entire funnel, what you'll have to do is you'll have to click on Add New up here. And in the new window, just search for the Facebook Pixel Power Script. As you notice, it's available on our free plan, so it doesn't require an active subscription. Click on it and you will see the settings that it offers. That also already explains why our integration is superior to just copying the Facebook pixel code into your funnel. And in order to finish the setup, what you will need to do is you will need to head to Facebook's Business Manager, and there within the Events Manager and Data Sources, find your pixel and then simply click on the pixel ID here and go back to CF Power Scripts and paste it in here. That's the basic setup, and the only thing left are the advanced settings. Now the first setting that we have is track view content, and as the tooltip explains, if you turn this on, it will not only trigger the page view event on each of your funnel steps, but it will also trigger a view content event. Now you might be wondering why you should enable the view content event when you anyway have the page view event available on each page load. And one of the reasons is that if you try to create custom conversions within Facebook, you cannot use the page view event for those custom conversions. You can, however, use the view content event. I'm gonna circle back to that later in the video and explain to you one of the many possible use cases for this, and I'm gonna enable this right here. Now the next option defines if you want to track the view content event value based, so only if you have this set to yes will this option even be considered. And you might again be wondering, what does value based mean? The tooltip already explains it. The event will then be tracked with a value of $1 in whichever currency you select below. However, the question is, what's the purpose of tracking the event with a value of $1 when in fact the user didn't pay for anything, so you actually didn't make 1 cent? And the reason for that is, if you want to create lookalike audiences, you can only do so based on events that have a value. So usually you would only be able to create lookalike audiences based on people that, for example, buy your product and trigger the purchase event. However, when you enable the track view content feature plus set it to track value based, you will be able to create lookalike audiences as soon as at least 100 people from within one country visited a specific funnel step or funnel page. Obviously, a lookalike audience built up on your purchase event is way more effective than one that's built up on a view content event. However, you will sooner reach 100 people that clicked on your ad and looked at your landing page than you will reach 100 people that actually bought your product. So if you think about it, if you start from a static custom audience where you do the targeting based on location, age, interest, gender, and so on, once 100 people from within one country clicked on your ad, you could technically create a lookalike audience based on those people and run your ads with that lookalike audience. So suddenly, instead of your custom targeting that you created yourself, Facebook would use or try to look for people that are similar to those people that actually clicked on your ad and looked at your landing page. So theoretically, this should be especially useful if you start with a new pixel that has no previous data stored, to get from your custom saved audiences where you do the targeting to Facebook picking people that are similar to those that performed a certain action, which in this case would be they clicked on your ad and ended up on your landing page. Now the next setting we have is the currency setting, which regulates which currency the value is attracting, and it should match the currency in your Facebook advertising account. Also, I want to point out right here, when you set up other power scripts to complement the basic Facebook pixel integration, you will need to use the same currency there to avoid conflicts in tracking. With that, we move on to the advanced matching. And advanced matching is a method to provide Facebook with additional data that the user provided to you on your funnel. So if a user opted in and provided his email address, we can forward that email address to Facebook as well. If they provided their first name, last name, phone number, city, state, postal code, or country, we can do so as well. However, there are two important things to point out. First of all, the advanced matching will only forward data that the user already provided on the funnel. So if you have an opt-in page, he enters his, let's say, first name, last name, and email. On the next page load, so which could be your sales page or order form or just a thank you page, the page for event there would forward also that information. If you have an order form and you also ask for address, state, and so on, that information will then be forwarded to Facebook on the next page load, which would be your OTO page or your order confirmation page. The second important thing here is Facebook requires the data to be in a certain structure. So for example, if you ask users to enter their state, but they enter it in a way that our script is not able to put it or bring it into the format that Facebook requires, the data will not be forwarded. So even if 100% of your customers enter the state, not 100% of Facebook events will forward the state to Facebook, again, because some of your customers might enter it in a way that it cannot be brought into the right format. And since some of our users, in quotes, misuse certain fields in ClickFunnels, you have the option to match which field is what. Now, usually, if you don't misuse any fields, you would just say email should be matched with email. So the email input field in ClickFunnels will be matched and sent forward as the email to Facebook. If you're using the first name field for actually the first name, you would map that here. If you, however, for some reason are using the full name field to only capture the first name, then you would select that here. So in this case, I'm going to just go forward and map everything the way it's intended to. So we map city to city here, state to state, zip to zip. And last but not least, the country field, where we run into a small limitation. Unfortunately, ClickFunnels only stores the shipping country if you ask the user for it, but not the regular country field. Therefore, we can only forward the country if the shipping country has been set by the user somewhere in your funnel. Now, circling back, I noticed, because it's highlighted now, that I forgot to enable the value-based tracking. We talked about it earlier in the video, and obviously I want to enable it here, but you have to decide for yourself if you want to and if it makes sense. Now, once all of that is set, you can just click on Add Script, and with that, you'll add the Facebook Pixel Power Script to your funnel. Now, in order to test that, I can click here and copy the live funnel step URL of this funnel step. I'm just going to right-click copy and go to the Events Manager, there head to Test Events, and then paste the URL in here and click on Open Website. And as you can see, we are now on our demo funnel, and we can see the Facebook Pixel Helper track the page view event with a lot of additional fields here, and the View Content event also with a lot of additional fields. Now, I want to quickly take the time to explain that. First of all, it's another reason why our Power Script is way superior to just adding the Facebook pixel code directly to your funnel, because with every event that we trigger, as you can see, we also forward the funnel name, the page name, the step name, the funnel ID, the page type, so if it's an order form, an opt-in page, in this case a miscellaneous page, and the step ID. And I'm going to explain why this information is valuable and how you can use it in the future. Additionally, you can see in this case that the advanced matching also forwarded parameters here, like the city, first name, email, last name, phone number, an external ID, which is my unique user ID, and the zip code. However, as mentioned, this information is only available because I previously visited the funnel or a funnel on the same domain and already provided that information to ClickFunnels. So if you're just setting things up and you haven't submitted any data in your funnel yet, so there's no data stored on ClickFunnels about you specifically visiting that funnel, then the only advanced matching variable that will show up is the external ID, which is a value that we determine to try to detect when a user returns to the page page and basically provide Facebook with even more information. Now if we go back to the Events Manager, we can also see both events here, and we can see they triggered through the browser. First of all, we see the View Content event with a value of $1. And we can also see a content name and more. So if we look here, the content name will always be the name of the funnel step plus the name of the funnel page. So if you're running a split test and you give the variation and the control page different names, then you would see here the step name and then control, for example, or step name and variation, for example. The content category is always the funnel name, and besides that, as always, we forward, as mentioned, the funnel ID, step ID, page ID, funnel name, step name, page name, and the page type. And just like that, with a few mouse clicks, you added the Facebook pixel to your entire funnel. And not only did you not have to copy the Facebook pixel code into a specific place into your funnel settings, but additionally, you also provide Facebook with way more information about each page view that you can use in certain ways, which I will show you in a second, without actually having to write any kind of custom code. Now there's one last thing I want to point out and show you before we go into the benefits of all the extra information that we provide, and that is how you could add more than one pixel to your funnel. And for that, in CF Power Scripts, when you have the Facebook pixel power script, or when you're just adding it and you want to add 2 pixels or more, all you have to do is enter them comma separated. So you would have the pixel ID of your first pixel, comma, followed by the pixel ID of your second pixel, and simply press save down here, or again add script when you're just adding the script. And in the future, every event that is reported to Facebook will be reported to both pixels. Now there are 2 more things that I want to cover in this video. First of all, how you can use all the additional data that we forward to Facebook using something called custom conversions. And second of all, how you can also add custom events to your funnel pages, so that whichever custom event you trigger for Facebook on your funnel pages also contains all the additional information like the funnel ID, step ID, and page ID, for example. But first, as said, let's look at custom conversions. And the first question that many of you might have is, what are custom conversions? You have to think of Facebook custom conversions in this way, that on one hand, you have the events that trigger in the user's browser or on his device, which are then reported to Facebook. And a custom conversion is something built on top that triggers automatically when certain criteria are met. So it doesn't trigger on the user's device, but Facebook creates the custom conversion based on the settings that you configure, and then automatically creates it if the criteria are met. So the obvious question is, how can you actually create custom conversions, and what's the purpose, or how you could use them in your ad reporting within Facebook? And to answer that, we'll have to go back to the Events Manager, and there you can go and click on the green Create button in the top right corner and then click on Create Custom Conversions. Now maybe that pop-up appears instantly for you, but recently there has been a bug within Facebook where the pop-up would not show up, and then you would have to first click on Create Custom Conversion, the pop-up doesn't show up, and then you would simply have to click on another pixel, and once the other pixel loads, it actually would suddenly also show the pop-up. Besides that, you will notice that when you're using a new pixel like I am, that you get the information that no page view event has been detected. So it takes a couple of hours if you're using a new pixel before the events are populated into that dropdown and before you can set up the custom conversion for a specific new pixel or new event. So to show you how to actually set up the custom conversion and how you can use it within your Facebook Ads Manager, so what purpose does it serve, I'm going to select a different pixel here, and I'm going to go with my primary test pixel, where we can see when we click on the conversion event that we have a lot of different events to choose from. And I'm going to pick the view content event once I find it here, because that's the event that you will also have available, because again, the page view event is not supported for custom conversions, so that's why we enabled the view content event. Now technically you could create a custom conversion, for example, based on the URL of one of your funnel pages. However, what happens if you want to change the path of that funnel page in the future for some reason, or if you're running a split test and you want to have one custom conversion to track, for example, the number of page views on both pages combined, then you're gonna have a problem using the URL, and that's where the events or the parameters that we forward come into play. So for that, instead of selecting the URL, you actually would select event parameters, and from the drop down you will see that you have the value available if you enabled the value-based tracking for view content events, the page ID, step ID, funnel ID, and all the other stuff here, content name and whatnot. So you could go ahead and, for example, select the step ID here. And just a reminder, what I'm showing you in this video is just one of the many use cases that you can think of or that you can build based on all those custom parameters and events that you can track with our Facebook integrations. Now, I'm going to call this custom conversion, for example, view landing page. And now we would need the step ID of a specific page. Now for that we can go to CF Power Scripts again, and here when you're on the dashboard where you have all your funnels and you click on the shortcut next to a funnel, you will see the funnel ID in this pop-up. When you close that and click on the funnel, and you do the same with the shortcut next to a specific funnel step, you will see the funnel step ID, which I'm going to copy. And last but not least, if you click on the funnel step, you will see the funnel page or pages if you're running a split test, and there you can do the same and you will see the funnel page ID. Now with the step ID copied, we can go back here and I could enter it here and create that custom conversion. And basically what this will do is trigger a separate event every time the view content event triggers on this specific funnel step. So no matter if it's on a control or variation page, no matter if you change the path or not, as long as you don't delete the funnel step or create a new funnel step, that ID will not change. Now for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to save this custom conversion, but I'm going to show you how you could then use it. So you would then click on create, which would again, every time the view content event triggers with the step ID parameter matching this value, automatically trigger that custom conversion. And then in order to use that, you could go to Facebook's Ad Manager. And within the Ad Manager, you can go to your columns and there go to Customize Columns. And then here you will be able to search for the name of your custom conversion. So I'm not going to find it right now because I didn't save it. And I want to point out it also takes at least a couple of hours before your event will appear here. So you could then go ahead and let's say that's your custom conversion, select the total column and add it, apply it and add it to your columns within the Facebook Ads Manager. But the question is, why would you want to do that? And the answer to that is actually quite simple. First of all, many of the columns that you can look at within Facebook, especially pretty much all of those that start with unique, like unique landing page views, are actually not exact numbers, but estimated based on sampled data. So if you have 1,000 landing page views or 10,000, Facebook only looks at a small sample size and uses that to provide you those unique numbers. However, when you're showing your custom conversions column, it actually will show you the exact amount of events or custom conversions that triggered. So within your Ads Manager, if you set up a custom conversion based on the view content event and the step ID of your landing page, you could have a columns for the clicks on your ads and then followed by the landing page views custom conversion that you created. So you would then see how many people clicked on your ads, and in the next column where you have your view content custom conversion for the landing page views, you would see how many people actually waited long enough for the page to load and for the Facebook pixel to fire, which will instantly give you an idea if you, for example, have a performance problem with your funnel, so that something is taking way too long to load and most people just click on the ad, but then after 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds just close the window instead of waiting for it to load. And it will also help you put your other metrics into perspective. So let's say you have 1,000 clicks on your ad. So Facebook tells you have 1,000 clicks and you have 500 leads or opt-ins or purchases or whichever other event you actually want to achieve. Now, based on the 1,000 clicks and 500 conversions or leads, you would think that 50% of your audience are converting, which would obviously be insane if it's about purchases. However, when you then add the custom conversion for page views, you might see that from the 1,000 clicks, only 800 actually waited for the page to fully load. And out of those, you have your 500 leads or conversions, which obviously means that your conversion or opt-in rate or whichever thing you are measuring here is higher than what you would think based on the click versus conversion event ratio. So it will give you a more accurate picture of what's actually going on. And I'm sure there's a lot of additional use cases, maybe not with the view content event, but with all the other events that you can equip with that data to improve the reporting of your ad campaigns even further. Now, the last thing in this video, as mentioned, is going to show you how you can equip all your existing custom events also with that additional information. And for that, we have to go back to CF PowerScript. And there you would simply either to the funnel or a specific funnel step or funnel page, so wherever you want to trigger that custom conversion. And there you would again click on Add New and look for our custom code PowerScript and click on it. And usually if you would add a custom event by using custom code to your funnel, you would do something like this: FBQ, track, and then followed by your event name. And optionally, you would also have some parameters like maybe value 0.01 and currency USD, for example. This, however, does not contain any custom information. Now, you could manually add things like step ID and then look up the step ID and write it here and so on. Or the easier way is, instead of writing things like this, you would go ahead and simply write cfps.track followed by my event name and then followed by the additional values that you want to track. So for example, if you would want to forward a value of 1 cent, then again value and currency, and that would pretty much be it. When you track your events like this, so when you use our Facebook Pixel integration for the reporting of your Facebook events, then the event will automatically always get all the additional data. So the funnel ID, step ID, page type, page name, step name, funnel name, and so on. Which again then means that you can also use those events as well for custom conversions. So depending on how you're using the custom events that you have set up, it gives you a lot of possibilities to improve the reporting of your ad campaigns and gain deeper insights into what's actually going on and how your ads are performing. And that's pretty much all the Facebook Pixel PowerScript has to offer. Now, obviously, you might be wondering, okay, that's great, but how can I track my leads, my conversion? How can I trigger an event when a user scrolls a certain percentage or is on the page for a certain period of time and so on? All of those things are also possible with CF PowerScripts. However, for that, you will have to look into the specific Facebook Pixel tracking script that we offer for that purpose. So the next thing you actually might want to check out might be our Facebook lead tracking PowerScript or our Facebook custom events PowerScript. And then once you've looked at those, I recommend that you check out our Facebook conversion tracking PowerScript, and last but not least, our Facebook conversion API PowerScript. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you have any questions or need help with any of our PowerScripts whatsoever, you can always just press the support button on any of the pages within CF PowerScripts, or obviously you can also, if you're watching this video on YouTube, just leave a comment below the video and we're more than happy to help. See you in one of our other tutorials. Till then, bye bye.